Let's talk water. Electrolyzed reduced water, also known as the medical device Kangen water, which means back to origin. When it comes to water, water has to have certain properties for it to be medicinal. Before 1980, the whole world used to have blue zones where the water had all these properties that I'm about to talk about. So the water happened naturally in Canada and the US. Unfortunately, the only blue zones left are in parts of Mexico and parts of Europe. There are no more blue zones left in Canada and the US. So if you're living in Canada and the US, wake up, look at your water, because even if your water is full of minerals, you're not absorbing it. And this has been published on pubmed.gov. Water has to have a negative ORP, which stands for oxidation reduction potential, the ability to decrease inflammation, or a positive ORP, which increases inflammation. How does it do that? It either steals electrons from the valence shell outside of the atom, creating a concern. What that concern is free radical damage and oxidative stress. With a negative ORP, it's donating electrons to that valence shell, satisfying that valence shell, and allowing it to be orbiting properly and balanced. What that means is it's a stable atom. It's no longer a free radical. The second thing to look into is, how do you test this? Everything that I'm about to tell you, you can test yourself, you can prove it, and you can also research it, which I love because everything I do is about data-driven and science, not opinion. So the second thing looking into is an ORP. You can purchase on Amazon, get one that's about $100 and it's calibrated properly, and you can identify if your water is positive or negative. Positive bad, negative good. Second thing to think about is the pH. Just because something has a high pH doesn't necessarily mean that it has a negative ORP. You can have something like alkaline water with buffers and chemicals and minerals added to it. It could have a high pH. It could be high molecular hydrogen water. It could be alkaline water. It does not matter. If the ORP is positive charge, it is acting as a diuretic. It's terrible for you. So make sure you look at all the different properties that water is involved with so that you don't get misled, because there's 22,000 water competitors on the market, and only Kangen is the one that's registered as a medical device. Why? Because in 1980, Kangen came out with all three patents: molecular structure, a clustered structure, molecular hydrogen, and a negative ORP, and a low ohm resistance. This patent cannot be copied by any other water device. If you copy a patent, that is illegal. And because it satisfies all of the variables of water to be medicinal, it is categorized as medicinal water, medical grade water, and electrolyzed reduced water, and has been published on PubMed for the last 50 years with over 250,000 published articles. There is no other type of water system that has anything even near this, not even a medical certification. So they can say whatever they want, and nothing is fact-checked, nothing is published on PubMed that actually has these properties, because you can't copy another patent. So that's really cool, and that's why Kangen is its own category compared to 22,000 competitors. Doesn't mean that those other water systems aren't great. It means that they are just not in the same category as Kangen, and they don't satisfy all of those water properties at all. So there's just no comparison. You can't compare apples to apples because they're not even in the same category. The other thing is the clustered structure. And there's a really important molecular structure that water holds, because if it's the wrong structure, it doesn't fit in the cell properly. So these are things you need to think about. The other thing is the ohm resistance. Most water has a high ohm resistance, meaning the water's frequency and life force can't pass through. A low ohm resistance means there's less resistance, so the water can pass through, which means it's going to impact all the frequencies passing through your cells for proper absorption. This is really important because you are an electrical being. You have 75 trillion cells. They all operate at minus 22 millivoltage. And to heal your cells, you need to get them to minus 50 millivoltage. If you're drinking water that's driving the cell voltage down to positive, eventually when the cells get to positive 30, cancer turns on, disease turns on, inflammation, dysregulation. Mitochondrial dysfunction dysregulation is the root of every single disease known to mankind, and that is on PubMed. So everything I'm telling you, you can fact check and you can look up yourself. I've been using this water now in my practice for the last 6 years, seeing anywhere from 10 to 15 clients a day. It is standard protocol. I get all my clients on a free 30-day water trial. We do their body scan and their blood analysis before and after, so they have data and evidence and proof. They have analytical data and observable data with themselves that it actually works. We're not here to sell you snake oil. We're here to help you on a cellular level, ignite your cell voltage on a mitochondrial level, absorb and hydrate and charge your mitochondria and detox. Now, I'm going to break something down really important. We all know that electrolytes and trace minerals are super important for the body. If you look at the periodic table of a lot of your trace minerals, magnesium, copper, calcium, iron, sodium, potassium, the list goes on. They are all positive charge on the periodic table. So if you're drinking positive charge water and you're trying to get the positive charge minerals in the cell, they repel. Positive repel. So that's where in 2003, a gentleman named Peter Agree got a Nobel Prize for the discovery of the aquaporin. He discovered that water has to have certain properties in order for it to get absorbed into the aquaporin. The aquaporin is the opening of the cell. It's positive charge. So if the opening of the cell is positive charge and you're trying to get positive charge water in it with your electrolytes, first of all, the water and the electrolytes don't bind. And then they repel the cell wall because that's also positive charge. Nothing's get absorbed. When you're working with a medical doctor or a naturopathic doctor or anyone that is a healthcare provider and they don't talk to you about water, get a new practitioner. I specialize in water and absorption because it doesn't matter what you put in the body if you're not absorbing it. You're just having a very expensive urine. And I see this day in and day out. How many people you know are taking an iron supplement and their iron levels are still low? What is iron? Iron is Fe positive 2 on the periodic table. If they're taking that with positive charged water, positive, they repel. You're not absorbing. How many people you know have restless leg or they have a lot of health issues with their blood pressure? The list goes on. If they take magnesium, which is supposed to help those things, and magnesium is Mg positive and their water's positive, it repels. So it's an absorption issue, guys. It's an absorption issue. Things are not getting brought into the cell. The cell is not actually oscillating at the proper frequency because you're drinking dead water. You can go on YouTube and you can look up Kangen water with the light bulb experiment. You will see that Kangen water is living water. You are a body of water. Your body is 80% water. So Kangen water, you can actually see the experiment where they put a light bulb in the water and the light bulb turns on because the water is electrical. You are an electric being. There's a book called Body Voltage. Read it. You learn all about how your body is different frequencies, different voltage, and everything is impacted by frequency. Water holds a specific frequency. And if your body's 80% water and you're not absorbing your water or your supplements, you're never going to heal properly. So you might heal up to 6%, which is published by Peter Agree in 2003, that you get up to 6% absorption because your body's brilliant and your body doesn't want to die, but you're not thriving, you're surviving. You're still inflamed and you're still in fight or flight. The other thing to think about is A, you're not absorbing your minerals, and toxins, heavy metals. How many people do you know are doing a heavy metal detox or a parasite detox or a candida detox and it just doesn't seem to work properly? Well, what kind of water are you drinking? If you are drinking water that is not being absorbed, then your supplements are not being absorbed, your toxins are not being excreted. Toxins are positive charge. So how is it supposed to bind to the positive charge water and excrete out of your cells if it can't bind to anything at all? So binding is very important. Absorption is very important. So the polarity and the charge of the water matters. And I know this is really scientific, you guys, so just bear with me with the positive and the negative, and it's the opposite of what you think, but really trying to break it down as simple as possible, taking a complicated situation and making it really simple so that you can start to understand that everything is about positive and negative, electrons, protons, neutrons, the orbit, the oscillation of the cell. Like there's so much that goes on with these cells. And we are so exposed to free radical oxidation. It is an issue. It is a huge issue. I see it all the time when I do live and dry blood analysis with my clients. And because your blood is 92% water, when I do a 30-day water trial and I get them on electrolyte reduced water, It is night and day difference. Ask anyone that's come in for a full health assessment what their blood looked like before and after. I've done it with thousands of clients, and all my clients will tell you that they are blown away. The results speak for themselves. You feel different. And in my opinion, every home in Canada and the US should have a Kangen water device installed in the home in the pre-build. You get a fridge, you get a microwave, you should have your Kangen water. Because if you're not drinking water that has a low ohm resistance, negative ORP, a molecular hydrogen structure, and a clustered structure, you are not absorbing your water. You are not absorbing your supplements, and you're chronically inflamed and dysregulated, and all your 11 body systems are not being satisfied. Your 75 trillion cells are not being satisfied, and you're gonna go round and round and round with all these health issues. You're gonna go to your doctor, they're gonna gaslight you, you're gonna get all your blood work done, everything is gonna come back normal, but you don't feel well. And this is what I see day in and day out, and that's why I'm so passionate with my practice as a natural health practitioner to talk about water, absorption, detoxification first, get the body and the vessel in a really healthy way, then talk about nutrition, then talk about movement as medicine and sleep and nervous system and all that. But if you're not absorbing, we got to start with there. And if you're dealing with a practitioner that doesn't have a clue about water and your body's 80% water and not everyone absorbs properly or methylates properly, then you need a new practitioner. My name is Ariel. I'm a natural health practitioner from Vitality Wellness. And I invite you to come in, ask all your questions. I love debate. I love questions. I will give everything to you in terms of factual evidence on PubMed with articles, anything you need. And that way you can make an educated decision. Try a free 30-day water trial. And I encourage you to do a blood analysis before and after because the results speak for themselves. Thank you.